They told you the Great Wall of China was built to keep enemies out. But what if it was actually built to keep something in? And what if that something is still there? Picture this. It's 214 BC. Emperor Qin Shi Huang orders the construction of the most ambitious project in human history. A wall that would eventually stretch over 13,000 miles. Millions of workers. Decades of backbreaking labor. Countless deaths. The official story? Defense against northern invaders. But here's what doesn't add up. The Great Wall has a fatal flaw. As a military defense, it's actually pretty terrible. There are massive gaps. Entire sections built in places where no army could possibly attack. Mountains too steep to climb. Deserts too vast to cross. And here's the kicker. Sections of the wall face inward, toward China, not outward toward the enemy. Why would you build a defensive wall that guards against your own territory? Military historians have called it the greatest architectural mystery of the ancient world. But they're asking the wrong question. This was never about defense. Ancient records tell us that over 1 million workers died building the Great Wall. Their bodies, we're told, were buried within the wall itself. A tragic side effect of brutal construction. But a 2003 archaeological study revealed something disturbing. The bodies weren't just buried randomly. They were placed in precise patterns, ritual positions, facing specific directions, positioned exactly 100 meters apart in certain sections. Dr. Chun Wei, the lead archaeologist, published his findings in an obscure academic journal before mysteriously retiring early. His conclusion, quote, "The placement of remains suggests deliberate ceremonial sacrifice, consistent with ancient sealing rituals designed to bind supernatural entities." The journal was pulled from circulation within 6 months. Dr. Chun has never spoken publicly about his research again. Now let's talk about something the history books conveniently ignore. There are ancient Chinese texts, manuscripts kept in restricted sections of Beijing's Palace Museum, that tell a very different story about why the wall was built. I managed to get translated excerpts from a researcher who had brief access before the documents were reclassified. One text from the Qin dynasty describes Emperor Qin's encounter with the sleepers beneath the northern mountains. It says he discovered a series of ancient caverns during his obsessive quest for immortality. Inside those caverns, he found something that should not be disturbed, for they are older than man and they dream of hunger. Another scroll mentions the 72 seals that must never be broken. It describes a massive ritual involving blood, stone, and iron, performed along the entire length of what would become the Great Wall. The emperor wasn't building a wall. He was creating a barrier, a supernatural containment system. Fast forward to 1987. A team of French archaeologists, working with Chinese officials, began excavating a collapsed section of the wall in Inner Mongolia. What they found sent shockwaves through the archaeological community, though most of the details were suppressed. According to leaked field notes, beneath the rubble they discovered a sealed chamber. The entrance was marked with symbols that predated the wall by at least 1,000 years. Inside, the walls were covered in warnings written in multiple ancient languages, some of which linguists still can't fully translate. But they all said essentially the same thing: do not open, do not disturb, do not wake what sleeps below. The chamber was resealed within 48 hours. The French team was sent home, and that entire section of the wall remains off-limits to this day, guarded by military personnel under the excuse of structural instability. Here's where things get truly unsettling. Between 2015 and 2019, seismologists detected unusual readings along multiple sections of the Great Wall. Not earthquakes, something else. Rhythmic vibrations originating from deep underground, directly beneath the wall's foundation. Dr. Yamamoto Kenji, a Japanese seismologist who analyzed the leaked data, described the pattern as artificially regular, almost like a pulse. The frequency, one pulse every 7.3 seconds. For months. Then it stopped. In 2021, it started again. But this time, the pulses were faster. Every 6.8 seconds. Whatever is down there is becoming more active. Since 2018, satellite imagery shows something curious. The Chinese government has been conducting extensive restoration work on remote sections of the wall, sections that tourists never visit, sections that most people don't even know exist. But this isn't restoration. According to construction analysts who've studied the satellite data, they're reinforcing the foundations with modern concrete and steel. In some areas, they're drilling deep into the bedrock and pouring tons of material into underground cavities. Villages near these sections have been quietly relocated. Access roads have been closed. Military installations have appeared overnight. One local villager, before being relocated, told a foreign journalist, "They say it's for safety, but we've lived here for generations. The wall has stood for 2,000 years. Why does it suddenly need an army to protect it?" Here's what keeps me awake at night. Ancient texts describe 72 seals along the Great Wall, specific points where the barrier is strongest. In 2019, researchers using ground-penetrating radar identified exactly 72 anomalous structures beneath the wall's foundation. Chambers, sealed spaces, each one containing something the radar can't penetrate. 3 of those seals have been compromised in the last century. 1 by earthquake, 1 by construction, 1 by causes the government won't disclose. Each time, increased military presence followed. Each time, unusual seismic activity was detected. Each time, something changed. So let me ask you this. What could be so dangerous that an emperor would sacrifice millions of lives and bankrupt his empire to contain it? What could still be a threat after 2,000 years? And what happens if the remaining 69 seals fail? The Great Wall of China, one of the 7 wonders of the world, a symbol of human achievement, a marvel of ancient engineering, or the oldest prison on Earth, holding back something that ancient civilizations feared more than death itself. The Chinese government isn't talking. The archaeologists who know too much have gone silent. And that rhythmic pulse beneath the mountains keeps getting faster. What do you think is really buried beneath the Great Wall? Drop your theories below. And if you want to uncover more hidden truths that powerful people don't want you to know, hit that subscribe button. Because some mysteries weren't meant to stay buried. But they're waking up anyway.